Hi, it's time for a little thought for the day, and this one is coming from Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth, and I'm reading from the chapter on the discovery of inner space, and this is page 253. So throughout the day, there's a continuously changing succession of things that you see and hear. In the first moment of seeing something or hearing a sound, and more so, especially if it's unfamiliar, before the mind names or interprets what you see or hear, there is usually a gap of alert attention in which perception occurs in that gap. That is the inner space. Its duration differs from person to person. It's easy to miss because in many people, those spaces are extremely short, perhaps only a second or less. This is what happens. A new sight or sound arises, and in the first moment of perception, there's a brief cessation in the habitual stream of thinking. Consciousness is diverted away from thought because it's required for sense perception. A very unusual sight or sound may leave you speechless, even inside. That is to say, it will bring about a longer gap. The frequency and duration of those spaces determine your ability to enjoy life, to feel an inner connectedness with other human beings as well as nature. It also determines the degree to which you are free of ego, because ego implies complete unawareness of the dimension of space. When you become conscious of these brief spaces as they happen naturally, they will lengthen. And as they do, you will experience with increasing frequency the joy of perceiving with little or no interference of thinking. The world around you then feels fresh, new, and alive. The more you perceive life through a mental screen of abstraction and conceptualization, the more lifeless and flat the world around you becomes. Inner space also arises when you let go of the need to emphasize your form and your identity. That need is of the ego. It is not a true need. We have already touched briefly upon this. Whenever you relinquish one of these behavior patterns, inner space emerges. You become more truly yourself. To the ego, it will seem as if you were losing yourself, but just the opposite is true. Jesus already taught that you need to lose yourself to find yourself. You let go of the you that grew up following all the rules and become who you really are. So whenever you let go of one of these patterns, you de-emphasize who you are on the level of form, and who you are beyond form emerges more fully. You become less so you can be more. Here are some ways in which people unconsciously try to emphasize their form identity. If you are alert enough, you may be able to detect some of these unconscious patterns within yourself. So, first is demanding recognition for something you did and getting angry or upset if you don't get it. Trying to get attention by talking about your problems, the story of your illnesses, or making a scene. Giving your opinion when nobody has asked for it and it makes no difference to the situation. Being more concerned with how the other person sees you than with the other person, which is to say, using other people for egoic reflection or as ego enhancers. Trying to make an impression on others through possessions, knowledge, good looks, status, physical strength, and so on. bringing about temporary ego inflation through angry reaction against something or someone, making a scene, taking things personally, like you're the center of everything, feeling offended, and making yourself right and others wrong through futile mental or verbal complaining, wanting to be seen or to appear important. So those are just some of the ways that we try to emphasize the ego self. Once you have detected such a pattern within yourself, I suggest that you conduct an experiment. Find out what it feels like and what happens if you let go of that pattern. Just drop it and see what happens. De-emphasizing who you are on the level of form is another way of generating consciousness. Discover the enormous power that flows through you into the world when you stop emphasizing your form and your identity. It has been said that stillness is the language God speaks, and everything else is a bad translation. Stillness is really another word for space. Becoming conscious of stillness whenever we encounter it in our lives will connect us with the formless and timeless dimension within ourselves, that which is beyond thought and beyond ego. It may be the stillness that pervades the world of nature, or the stillness in your room in the early hours of the morning, or the silent gap between sounds. Stillness has no form. And that is why through thinking, we cannot become aware of it. Thought is form. Being aware of stillness means to be still. To be still is to be conscious without thought. You are never more essentially, more deeply yourself than when you are still. When you are still, you are who you were before you temporarily assumed this mental and physical form called a person. You are also who you will be when the form dissolves. But when you are still, you are who you are beyond your temporal existence. Consciousness, unconditioned, formless, and eternal. So as you go through your day to day, try to notice those little moments when everything is still and you can just become aware of everything around you. The walls, the ceiling, the colors, the world of nature outside the windows if you're inside, the activity of nature going on around you if you're outside. Try to enter into that stillness and let yourself become formless space. Space mind is the original source. Have a wonderful day.